Diggity Dogs, this is me, AJ Beast. Welcome back, or welcome to another video on my channel. Today we are going to be talking about 3 quarterbacks that I believe should have a competition, at least, for a starting job in the NFL. Hope you guys enjoy the video and leave a like. And subscribe if you are new. Okay, the first guy I want to talk about is Mac Jones. Now, out of the 3 guys, Mac Jones has had experience as a starting quarterback, 3 years spent in New England, and etc. Even in the last 2 years that he has spent in the league, he was given a couple of starts with Jacksonville and 5 games with the 49ers. And with those games, he would compete in 5 as the starter, and out of those 5 games, he would win 4 of them. And before you go, oh yeah, the 49ers, they just win games. That's just how they do it. Well, you got to look at the context of who he was playing with and who was around him when it came to the games. He didn't have Jauan Jennings. He didn't have Brendan Ayuk. He didn't have the starters in most of these games. He usually was playing with the backups or people on the practice squad. So ultimately, I think he's shown a great sorts of potential, and I think even that was the case with New England. I think with Bill Belichick there, it just kind of dragged him apart. Also, I think there was a head coach, a offensive coordinator or coordinator that he did not like, that they just didn't gel well. That kind of gave him a bad start when it came to his career. Ultimately, he's 27. I think he most likely will be 28 when it comes to, the next season. And at the end of the day, with those 5 games played, he recorded 2,157 yards, had 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. That is a great game for a quarterback who played only 5 games of the season. And ultimately, there's one spot that I feel like is the best spot for him, but I will list a couple of others. Number 1 spot for me, though, would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is keeping in mind the obvious if this happens, if that happens. Right now, the Steelers are in the playoffs as the time of recording. They're in the wild card, and depending on how they do in the wild card, in the playoffs in general, Aaron Rodgers might decide to stay for another season. Now, I think even with the chance of that happening, I still believe that they should consider having Mac Jones come over there and fight for the starting job. If Aaron Rodgers does leave, I think there's a good % chance that Mac Jones should be brought over there. Honestly, mainly because the Steelers don't really have that many options when it comes to starting quarterbacks that they already have. I don't remember exactly where their draft pick is, but I don't know if just drafting a rookie quarterback is a good decision. I don't know if Mason Rudolph is still there, but if he was there, then maybe, but I don't think I want Mason Rudolph being the starter for the Steelers. I don't know about you guys, but that's my number 1 spot for him. Another spot that I think could be great would be him in Indianapolis. Now, honestly, I think he's a better Daniel Jones than Daniel Jones is. But also, honestly, I think Daniel Jones' success was mainly on the success of how the Indianapolis Colts played around him when it came to defense, when it came to his wide receivers and his running back. And I think the same case would be made for Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones, honestly, would be great here, and I honestly would say would probably even play better here than with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The only thing is that they have a big decision to make in Indianapolis when it comes to the quarterback, because they still have Anthony Richardson. He's injured right now, but they still have him for like another year or 2. Daniel Jones is going to be a free agent. And even though he had some rough patches near the end of his time with Indianapolis, I think there's a good possibility that he could be re-signed there and he could just be the starter outright. But I think even then, with the rocky ending of his season, when he's healthy, I think they should grab another quarterback And if Mac Jones is available to be traded, I think you get him. Because honestly, I wouldn't want to risk a torn ACL Daniel Jones to come back and be the number one 100% starter. Those are the main two that I think he'd be great in. I don't think he'd be bad in Arizona, but I think there's one quarterback that I believe would be better in Carolina. But that's for later on. There's one more team that I think he'd be great in, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are made to have talented quarterbacks go to elite. Have that good quarterback go to great. We saw that with Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones, even though he didn't play actually for the Vikings, had like a couple of months or a couple of weeks in Minnesota, and it looked like he got everything he needed when it came to experience there. And the Seattle Seahawks are in the number 1 seed right now and have a shot to make the Super Bowl. So ultimately, I think you look at Kevin O'Connell's system, you look at what the weapons are over there in Minnesota, I think this might actually be the best spot for Mac Jones. But those are my main 3 for him. Now on to Malik Willis. Malik Willis has an interesting career in the NFL. Like Mac, except for the fact that he kind of has been more of a backup than he's been a starter. He's never really had a full chance to be a starter. He had a slump season or 2 with the Titans. The Titans really weren't willing to give him a chance, so they ended up drafting Will Levis immediately after the next year, and then I think ended up drafting Cam Ward after that. So they had around 4 to 3 year stretch of just drafting quarterbacks in the first round, which is embarrassing. But yeah, ultimately he had a bad start to his career. Then he went to one of the best quarterback systems, I would say, aside from Minnesota, in the Green Bay Packers. And with the Green Bay Packers, he would show signs of potential great quarterback play, having several games where he looked like an actual starter in this league. He's had some stinkers, don't get me wrong. We saw him against Tyler Huntley, Ravens versus Packers, both backups in, and yeah, he didn't look great, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns. He's been that guy who could be diverse when it comes to his quarterback play. Now, I think specifically because of that skill set, there's certain spots that I think he would be great. One of the biggest spots that I would love to see him at is Arizona. I would love him to be a Cardinal because, one thing, he has the athleticism. He's not as fast as Kyler Murray, but he is definitely taller. And I think there's a lot of plays that you could play with him. And because of the fact that there is going to be a new head coach, I think if you get a guy who is interested in the change of a quarterback, getting Malik Willis for a good deal, good 1-year deal, because he's going to be a free agent, giving him an opportunity to battle for the job against Kyler Murray, or if Kyler Murray kicks the bucket and goes somewhere else, or they just get rid of him, he would be a great candidate to be challenging for the job in Arizona. I mean, you got great pieces there. Ultimately, you get a good head coach or a good offensive coordinator that could play to his skill set. Honestly, I think he'd be a great quarterback in Arizona. Another place that I would love to see him go to is the New York Jets. Now, I know it's the New York Jets, but I think if he has that semblance of talent, if they get the right coaches in, like Arizona, the pieces that they could have, and they're going for a rebuild. And he is young. He is 26. He will be 27 coming up in this season, but honestly, that's a good age for this Jets team that needs someone who is experienced, but also young. And I think you get that perfect balance when it comes to Malik. And he has very much shown that he can make good decisions in situations where he needs to make good decisions. Ultimately, this rebuild could be either a shot for him to be the guy while they're building, or be the bridge quarterback, which wouldn't be the worst thing. Because at the end of the day, if he ends up being the bridge quarterback, he could go somewhere else and potentially get a starting job there with the experience that he has. I wouldn't want that for him, but the Jets aren't the best spot for him, but I think he'd still be able to succeed there. The last team I have for him would be the Miami Dolphins. I understand Tua's situation with the Dolphins, and I understand, but hear me out. Malik Willis has shown a lot of talent. He could chuck the ball down the field pretty well. Honestly, you give him Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I think he could do something pretty well. Plus, like I said, with his skill set, I think he can add more to Miami's offense than Tua can. And I don't want this to happen, but if John Harbaugh goes over to Miami, I think Malik Willis would be a very fun piece to have over there. So, ultimately, if they want to do something different, if the coach that they grab has some potential to do something crazy when it comes to having Tyreek Hill, who, yes, will be coming back from an injury and is not going to be as fast as he used to be, but still having Jalen Waddle, who could play both roles of 1 and 2. Honestly, I think that would be a great situation for him. I still think Arizona is the best spot for him, though. Now, for the last person, and the person that I don't think a lot of people would agree with, Joe Milton. Now, in the title, I think I had him on the Vikings. And honestly, I think that is the best spot for him. Now, listen, I'm not saying Joe Milton has as much potential as these two guys, but honestly, I still think he could have the potential to be a great quarterback in this league. And I think this is the best spot for him when it comes to quarterback success. I think, like I said, with skill set. Honestly, I think he has a great deep ball, which is something Justin Jefferson would very much appreciate. And Jordan Addison. Ultimately, this is a good position for him to be in, especially for Justin Jefferson. JJ has been looking better, McCarthy. But ultimately, this is in a situation where it'd be battling. If they're battling for the starting spot, which it doesn't seem like the Vikings are interested in, but you never really know. If one of your stars is not happy and doesn't want to be here, I think you're willing to make those decisions. But yeah, there's that. I honestly could see him going to the Raiders. Now, like I said with Malik Willis and the Jets, these are losing franchises. These are franchises that have shown that they cannot develop quarterbacks. But, with the pieces they have, the Raiders specifically, I think they got a shot to do something with Joe Milton. And this is specifically if he had a battle with Geno Smith. I think Joe Milton would come out on top if he had a straight-up quarterback battle in training camp against Geno Smith. I think he would look like the better quarterback. And I honestly think with getting some receiver from free agency, I will actually talk about free agency for wide receivers. But yeah, ultimately looking at it like that, the Raiders are a great spot. And, also bringing up the fact that a lot of the coaching is gone, so we'll have to really see who's going to be the coach for the Raiders in order to see if getting Joe is the best spot. Now, I know that they have the number 1 pick. I know that they're most likely going to get the number one quarterback, but I think for insurance, getting Joe Milton would be a great spot because he's someone who has been pretty good in the preseason a lot of times. And if your number one pick does not end up going well, Joe Milton's in the back. So ultimately, it's not a best spot for a starting job for him, but it's a job that he could get. And then honestly, I think the Indianapolis Colts would be a great spot for him. Now, they were trying to do something with Anthony Richardson, and honestly, Anthony Richardson has not shown up to be the quarterback that Indy has wanted. In the situation where Indy doesn't re-sign Daniel Jones and he goes somewhere else, Joe Milton would also be a good decision. Malik Willis wouldn't be a bad decision, but I honestly think he most likely will be re-signed by the Packers just because he's too good of a talent to not have, especially when Jordan Love has shown several times that he can get injured a lot, and sometimes Malik Willis plays better than him. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah. But if they can't get Malik Willis, if Daniel Jones leaves, I think getting Joe Milton would be a great decision on their part. I don't know what the draft capital would be, maybe a 4th or 5th round pick for Joe Milton, but give him a shot. Have him go up against Anthony Richardson and whatever quarterback you end up getting as well. It'd be an interesting battle. I would love to see that. But those are my thoughts on where I think they should go. If they go anywhere, like I said, Mac Jones could end up staying in San Francisco. Joe Milton could end up staying on the Cowboys. And the Packers could end up just re-signing Malik Willis as a backup. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think they should go anywhere. Let me know if you think these guys could be starters in the NFL. Make sure you like and subscribe because I would love for you to join my family. And with that being said, Yo Yo Diggity Dogs, AJ Beast is out.